So we leave it over to you now.
Okay, hello, good evening. Can you hear me okay? How's that? A bit better. So thank you for such a warm and generous introduction as always. It's my great pleasure to be here with all of you. I was here back in December. Was anybody here at that talk at that time? Just three of you, so yeah, I can do the same jokes again. Yeah, and in fact the topic we have for tonight is quite generic really to the inner journey. And I've been on this study of Raj Yoga meditation since I was around 8 or 9 years old. Started in London through my parents, and then growing up, going to school and working and traveling, it kind of became part of the daily life. So can I ask how many people here already do some kind of meditation? Just raise your hands. Okay. And how many of you are meditators? And you may be wondering what's the difference between the two. I think so many people do meditation in the world as a way to de-stress, to calm down, to handle the challenges of life. And that's fine, it can be enough for a person. But for me, to be a meditator means that it is a lifestyle. And that means as you're going through the day-to-day life, one part of you is naturally vigilant, just checking to see how am I using my thought energy. Because our thought energy, which the mind produces, is the basis of our entire life. And when we learn to use or spend our thought energy better, everything in our life improves and upgrades. Now think of it like this, that think of an athlete who wants to win the gold medal in the races. So for her or for him, eating healthy is a lifestyle. So such a person will naturally be aware what I eat, when I eat, how much I eat. It becomes a lifestyle. And even if somebody offers that person their favorite food, very delicious, very tempting, but automatically there'll be this police inside saying, no, not now, not good for me. So too, when you're a meditator, then there's like a natural awareness to check, am I thinking too much? Am I wasting my thought energy dealing with a particular issue? Am I drifting into the area of waste thoughts or negative thoughts? A natural vigilance. And because of that, what happens is that you're able to use the energy of your mind for very constructive purposes. Say, for example, a person has some issue, some habit they are finding difficult to overcome. They may lack, for example, willpower. They may lack courage. They may lack confidence, tolerance, etc. And so what happens is that when we learn to take better care of our thought energy and we stop wasting it, the energy that you save accumulates in your mind as what we call as Shanti Ki Shakti, the power of silence. And that power of silence then manifests in other ways in your life. You have more willpower when you need it. You have more courage, whereas before you had fear or you used to panic, for example. You're able to tolerate, whereas before you'd get irritated or get angry. And so where did this extra power come from, this extra energy? You have learned to save your thought power. And I think everyone would agree that, especially in the world today, what do we need the most? Peace, no? Do we need more of things? Do we need more paper qualifications? It's the inner needs which are missing today. And due to the lack of the inner needs, so there is a lot of anger in the world, and there is a lot of violence in the world. If we had more tolerance, more patience, more understanding, more forgiveness, game over. The game of violence is over. And hence, we gave great importance to taking care of the mind. Now, if you look at some of the main endeavors we have in life, mostly they're connected to your mind. So, for example, you look at sport. A big part of sport is the psychological approach you have, the mental approach you have. It's a mind game, especially sports which are individual sports like tennis. You have to be able to manage your mind, your thoughts, and your emotions. Any tennis players here? What do they play in Dubai?
Only watching.
Only watching.
Only across watching.
Anyway, if you play or you know someone who plays, you may, for example, have a 20-point rally across the court, and you win with a great cross-court forehand, and it's 15-love. And your next serve, you double fault. You've cancelled out all that effort with one silly mistake. And so you have to motivate yourself. It's about managing your relationship with your own self. Politics is a mind game. Business is a mind game. Even a big part of war is a mind game. And in fact, the more you think about it, you realize everything is actually a mind game. And so, how to understand the rules of the game? How can you play the game well so that you succeed, you win? Let's define doing well in the game. If you're doing well in the game of life, what would be the sign? How do you know you are playing well?
Happiness.
Happiness, no?
With happiness.
Yeah. Yes.
Satisfaction for us.
Yeah. These things, no? Your peace of mind and your happiness remains intact, remains in your own hands. And so we explore the question related to this is who owns your happiness? Should be. Yes. But most of the time we live under the illusion that my emotions are a result of other people, situations, the climate, economy, politicians, this person, that person. And as long as we live in that illusion, our happiness is always in somebody else's hands. So a basic model to work with is this, that let's say here is me, and over here is life. Life means other people, situations, circumstances, events, and so on. And the tendency that we generally have is we try to control life. Especially we try to control other people in our lives, close people. Believing if I can control other people, I'll be happy. I'll be secure. Everything will be okay. But here is the news. That is, you cannot control life. If you try to control life, you will necessarily become stressed. But between me and life, there is my mind. And all I have to do is to learn to bring my mind under my control. Make my mind into my friend. Then life is not able to stress me. That's the basic point here that we're looking to. How to stop trying to control people, situations, and events, and instead have my mind under my own control. Some of you may have heard this phrase, Man Jeet Jagat Jeet. If you conquer your mind, you conquer the world. If your mind is in your control, other people's anger will not be a problem for you. If your mind is in your control, other people's ego is not an issue for you. If your mind is in your control, other people's aggressive behavior, disrespectful behavior, it doesn't impede upon, it doesn't steal your peace or happiness. And it really is the game changer. But it's also a big challenge. Why? Because we have the deep habit of trying to control other people. And it's so deep we don't even realize it. So in your own mind, for example, if even just talking to your own self, you think, I don't like the way that person is looking at me. Why is she doing this? Why is he doing that? Even that thought, I'm trying to control something. Such a deep habit, which we may have picked up even from surroundings, society, upbringing, the things we watch. All of those models have an impact upon us and create this way of thinking. So what I have found with regular meditation, it's a kind of training of my mind to let go of these self-destructive behaviors. Self-destructive, destroying my peace of mind, destroying my happy mood. And hence, I think we have more to unlearn than we have to learn. We have to unlearn what we have mislearned so we can relearn what we should have learned. Make sense? Let me share a little story which was very meaningful for me. I heard many years ago in Mount Abu, in our global headquarters of our spiritual university. So one of our senior teachers was sharing this story of the Rajputs of India. As you would know, Rajputs were known as very brave, very loyal, very faithful people, great warriors as well. People admired them very much. So I don't remember the whole detail, but it was something like this, that once a king of a neighboring state, he challenged the Rajput king to a duel to show him that he was superior to him. And the duel was something like he challenged the Rajput king to pull a sword out of the stove. Some image like that. But this Rajput king was very worried. He didn't want to embarrass himself by saying no to this challenge. But also he was afraid that he could not do this properly. He may fail in front of the thousands who would be watching. And so what he did was he called upon the wise people in his kingdom to teach him how to be successful. And so all the wise learned scholars came and tried to give him techniques and tricks and tips in what to do and how to stand and how to position yourself and what to eat, what kind of exercises to do, all of that. But still, the king was worried, nervous. And then an old man said to him that I can guarantee you that you'll be successful. And all I ask of you is let me be with you, next to you, as you pull out the sword. So the king was sort of desperate for a solution, and he allowed this old man to be with him. So the great day came. The crowds were gathered, and the king was asked to come to the stone, put his hands on the sword, and still was trembling in his shoes. And the old man just came up next to him, began whispering in his ear, "You are a Rajput. You are a Rajput. You are a Rajput," like this. And so hearing these words, the king was filled with confidence, with strength, with courage, because he was being reminded of how great he was, the great race he was from. And so with all that strength, now he was able to summon up the energy in his body, and pull out the sword. And so what did the old man do? What was the trick?
Reinforcement. Positive reinforcement. He reinforced the idea that you can do it, you're strong.
Yeah. And it's not that he was making him strong, he was just reminding him of his strength. And the same thing really applies to each one of us. Sometimes we have the opposite speaking in our ear. You are a failure. You are weak. You are no good. You're not good enough. Remember you failed last time? These subconscious voices, what they do is they sort of cut off our access to our own strength. And we must not listen to that voice. Mind game. Talk to yourself positively, constructively, meaningfully. Do not allow yourself to stay in a disempowered state. Now, each one of us has failed at something or the other in life. Is that correct? Is there anybody who's never failed at anything? No? No, okay. Well, can you remember the first thing you failed at?
Maybe learning a bicycle or learning something.
Okay, riding a bicycle maybe. Yeah. That's the first thing you failed at. Oh, that's not bad. When did you try that? Okay. Anybody else? Skating. Walking. I think the first thing is walking. We wouldn't call it a failure, but you were not able to do it successfully first time. And so you must have fallen down 5 times, 50 times, many times more. But what do the parents do when the baby falls down first time? What did you do? Some of you are parents.
Help them to walk again, support them.
Yes, yes.
Get them back up.
Yeah, even though the child may cry, may not want to, but you force them. Come on, try again, try again. Learn to balance, learn to use the legs properly. The same way, our mind is like a child. So whenever you fail at something, it's very important to quickly engage positive self-talk before the negative program kicks in. Positive self-talk. Okay, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? What is the lesson for me here? How can I move forward? For me, I share because I used to do the negative quite quickly, and I thought that was the right thing to do. I thought that's what it means to be honest, like embrace the pain, embrace the sorrow. But no, when I noticed experienced spiritual people, they didn't waste time doing that. So 3 important things. One is identify the lesson. 2, forget the situation. And 3, move on. No need to keep thinking about the failure again and again. Take the lesson, remember the lesson, but forget the situation.
Sometimes the lesson is not obvious. Sometimes you are in front of your fail, you're not sure why it happened. You don't really understand, and there is nothing to learn in front of you. The wisdom is hidden.
Yeah, that's part of the game, I think, as I was reading something today, you know the answer. The only important thing is to be quiet enough to be able to listen to the answer. So I find, for example, having meditation regularly makes the mind quiet. When the mind is quiet, I'm better able to catch the lessons that life may be bringing towards me. Sometimes you have to be patient, take some time, but that's also part of the game of life. Imagine if the parents did something different the first time the baby fell down. Imagine baby falls down, parents say, this walking business is not for you, is it? Don't waste your time with this child, forget it. Even today we would all be crawling around on the floor. So positive self-talk strengthens our awareness. And this word awareness is really at the core of the entire human life experience. If you strengthen your awareness, you'll notice how you're sending out very constructive and positive vibrations all around you. Everything in your life begins to change when you make your awareness powerful. When you make your awareness weak, negative or weak thoughts, then it's like we invite problems into our life. It's for this reason that it's important to study meditation and spirituality regularly. Every day, because we are surrounded by a world where there is bad news. We easily absorb the vibes that may be of stress or fear or jealousy, etc. And therefore each morning, studying, practicing, making my awareness powerful. Now, how to look after the mind? If a healthy mind leads to happiness and also to harmony in relationships, how to look after the mind? Now, the mind is a mechanism, just as everything is a mechanism. Our body, for example, if you want good health, you have to pay attention to the diet, to exercise, to rest, and so on. So if you want this, there's something you have to do. If my health is not good, it means something is wrong. The normal state of the body should be healthy. If it's not healthy, I need to find out what's wrong. Maybe I'm eating something that I'm allergic to. Maybe there is something I need to change. In the same way, the natural state of the mind is actually to be happy, to be at peace. When we don't experience that, which is very common today, it means something is wrong. So we have to see what adjustments I need to make so that my happiness comes back in my own hands and I'm enjoying the game of life. Now think of any machine that you buy. Mobile phone, car, fridge. Along with that machine, what do you also receive?
Manual.
Instructions.
Warranty.
Yeah, warranty. Yeah, that's also true. I forgot that one. Yes, you use a user manual, user guide. That tells you how to use it properly, how to maintain it. So then the question is, where is the user manual for the mind? Yeah. Generally, we launch ourselves into life without learning how to use this thing. What kind of thoughts are meaningful and useful in the morning? What kind of thoughts should come later? How to put the mind to sleep? How much should you think about your failures? How should you handle criticism? Like there is a whole science of knowing how to use the mind, what attitudes are appropriate for which situation. But we stumble into making lots of mistakes. And by the time we are adults, we are carrying some wrong habits in terms of mind management. And therefore daily practice is needed. Let's say, for example, you have there's a dog in the street. In Istanbul, there are so many dogs, street dogs. Here I haven't seen any. Let's say you want to bring a dog from the street into your house. And you say to that dog, okay, sit. Is it going to sit? No. Why not? Yeah, it has spent years doing what it wants. Going where it wants, when it wants, how it wants. So if you want it to live in your house, you need to give regular training. Not just once. Regular, every day. So it learns good habits. The same way, the bad habits the mind has developed of overthinking, dwelling too much on the past, being over-concerned with other people's lives, or becoming a people pleaser, or worrying about the future. All of these bad habits, in order to be free of them, I need to do regular mind training. So here are some things which can help in this mind training. First is how to wake up in the morning. How do you wake up in the morning? Alarm. Okay. What's your first thought in the morning? Throw it away. Yeah, this is the way. The thing to do is, there's a way to wake up the mind in the morning. So I always feel that before you start engaging with even family members, or before you check any messages came during the night, all of that, first I must engage with myself. So even just sitting up in bed, engage with yourself. Just remind yourself, I am a peaceful being. I am a peaceful soul. Now just be with that thought. Dwell in that thought for a few moments. Engage with yourself. Then the second thing is then engage with the higher energy, whatever you consider that to be. And for me, I like to think of this higher energy, supreme being is the ocean of peace, the ocean of light, the ocean of love. Just remembering that I am a child of that ocean. And creating that connection, that personal connection, experiencing that sense of, like a charge, a battery to being charged up. Then after that, then you engage with life, people. You have to think about the traffic, the weather, the news, etc. So I use this little symbol of the three fingers. First, engage with myself. Second, engage with higher energy, supreme energy. Then third, engage with life, people, situations, and so on. Yeah, that's right. Now, usually what happens in most people's lives, they forget the first two. They wake up and immediately engage with life or with the people in the house, etc. And so it's like the foundation is missing. Think of how you construct a tall building. We have so many tall buildings here. Before you go up, first you have to go down. Fix firm foundations. And it takes time to do that. You have to do it properly. You can't rush that. If the foundation is not firm, you may have a very tall building, but a little earthquake comes, a little storm, it crashes down. But if the foundation is firm, it can withstand tremors and storms. So too it is like this. If I take care of the mind first thing in the morning, the building of my happiness, the building of my peace of mind can remain stable when the storms come during the day. What kind of storms? Dealing with a difficult person. Somebody in the traffic cuts you up. Something you planned didn't work out. Somebody got angry in front of you. You know, situations come. We say, oh, I got upset. I got angry. I got into a bad mood. Why? Why I lost my happiness? Why I lost my peace of mind? It's because it wasn't firm enough, wasn't steady enough. And so the secret of the early morning is such a vital thing in human life, especially these days when it seems there is a huge assault on the mind with so much information, so many opinions. And every day, everyone today has become a broadcaster, isn't it? With their Facebook and their Twitter and this and that. Everyone has an opinion and wants to give their opinion to you. So we need that silent time first thing in the morning. Go inside, feed the mind with peace. Be in that awareness. I am a peaceful soul. Connect with a higher being. Whatever you experience in the morning, it does affect the whole day. If you have a peace meal first thing in the morning, through the day, you will feel a greater sense of stability in your mind when you are challenged. You'll feel in situations where before you used to panic, get nervous, get shy, get tense, somehow you feel more stability, more steadiness. It's the result of your morning practice. That's one thing. Second thing, then, how to put the mind to sleep at night. How do you go to sleep at night? Is it with remote control? No, nothing on. Throw it and sleep. You see, even this is another science, and in the modern life we seem to have forgotten that in order to put the mind to sleep and to have a good sleep, the mind has to be put to sleep like you would, for example, switch off a computer. How do you turn off a computer? Is it just pull the plug or hold down the button until it dies? No, you have to sign off, switch off, log off. There are 3 or 4 stages. In the same way for the mind. At night, especially the last 15, 20 minutes, it's like I should be slowing down, not stimulating the mind. Trying to be more quiet. And then one thing I have always found very useful is to think like this. That whatever happened today, something good, something bad, something indifferent, I did something amazing, or I made some very silly mistake, I was praised, I was criticized, whatever happened, today's drama is over. For today, the theater of life, the curtain is closed. Today is finished. And you just multiply everything by 0. And just empty the mind of the thoughts of the day Allow the mind to be light, and then you go to sleep. And if you do that, then your sleep can be peaceful and restful. And a peaceful and restful sleep will allow you to have a good morning the next day. So, waking up, going to sleep, again, it's a mind thing. It's not just about the body. And today, all the emphasis is on the body. It's not wrong. We have to take care of the body. But taking care of the mind is essential today in order to be the owner of my peace and my happiness. So far, okay? We'll come to one more thing. We'll have maybe a few questions and some meditation. And this is to do with, again, our emotions. Now, we know that most people are driven in their decisions in life by their emotions. And in some parts of the world, people are very expressive in their emotions. For example, where I live, in the Mediterranean area, everything is about emotions. The more emotional you are, people say, yeah, he's a real person. Other parts of the world, people more suppress their emotions, but they are still there. And so, where do these emotions come from? We all want to be happy. We all want to be positive and cheerful. But what's driving these emotions? How can I be the coordinator of my own internal emotional landscape? So I'd like to share a model with you, which I think is very useful and something to work with as a sort of lifelong tool. It's like this. I'll draw it up for you. It's to do with three particular things. I think I also did this last time, but well worth visiting again. It tells us that outside of us, we are all surrounded by events. Now, what are events? Events are all the things happening outside of you. It's a sunny day, it's a rainy day, events. Somebody smiles at you, somebody scowls at you, it's an event. You succeed in something, you failed at something, it's an event. Somebody gives you a bunch of flowers and says you're the best thing on planet Earth, it's an event. Same person totally ignores you, abuses you, next day, event. Events are happening around us all the time. There's not much you can do about the events which are around you. But here is what we do. That is, we give meaning to these events. Event is outside of me. But with my mind, I am giving meaning to the event. This happens very, very, very fast. It's so quick, we don't even realize we are doing it. We walk through the streets and we see so many things, and our mind is giving meaning to what we see. People have certain gestures, facial expressions. We're giving meaning to what we see all the time. It's remarkable how quickly the mind gives meaning to the things we see and the things we hear. Why it is important? It's because the meaning you are giving to the events is creating your emotions. We give meaning to the event very quickly, and the emotion is generated also very quickly. It's so fast, we don't realize there is a 3-step sequence taking place. So what happens is, first the event, then the meaning, and 3 is the way you feel about it. But because it's so fast, the illusion that we live under, this event has created my emotions. That's the illusion. That's one of the big things we have to unlearn. The proof, we say things like, I feel so angry because of what you said to me yesterday. Or, I am upset because of what happened this morning. I am worried because of XYZ. So what I'm saying there is my emotions are a direct consequence of some event. That's the illusion we are under. It's an illusion because it's not true. I'm not angry because of what you said yesterday. No, I'm angry because of the meaning my mind is giving to what you said. I'm not upset because of what happened. I'm upset because of the meaning my mind is giving to what happened. I'm not worried because of XYZ. I'm worried because of the meaning my mind is giving to XYZ. So what to do? If we want to have better control over our emotions, if we want to have positive, healthy emotions, what should we work on? Events or meaning? Right? Exactly. But today, everybody tries to control the events, especially other people. Don't look at me like that. Don't talk to me like that. You should be more respectful to me. What's going on there? Trying to control the event. And if you try to control the event, you are losing the game of life. You're losing the mind game. You can never win as long as you live in the blame mentality. The way I feel is because of you. No. So people who are self-aware or spiritually aware, they begin to pay attention to the meaning the mind is giving to the events. So they begin to realize, I can upgrade the meaning I am giving to events. I can choose the meaning I give to events, and therefore my emotions will be in my own hands. So how do you do that? How do you upgrade the meaning you are giving to events? What is meaning made up of? What are the components of meaning? What is the meaning of meaning?
Beliefs and previous experiences.
Yes, previous experiences. It's part of the contribution towards something. There's three main things here.
Overthinking. Overthinking.
Overthinking, yes.
Ego.
Ego is usually the answer to everything. We are living in an ego-driven world, that's for sure. Yeah, it's in the mix, as it were. You see, there's some bad news here and some good news. If you accept this model, bad news is you can no longer blame other people for your negative emotions. Do you accept this model? Say yes?
Yes.
Okay, so then we have to check, all of you, that no one can ever say to anybody else, you make me angry, you make me upset. Okay, not allowed from this moment onwards. Why? Because if we continue to think like this, we're living in a deficit mindset. It means my happiness is in other people's hands. It's time to cancel that program. Okay, she speaks to me like this, he is like that, they are like that. The way I feel, it's my choice, my responsibility. So let me begin to remind myself of the answer rather than being lost in, what I don't like about someone or something. This is how we reclaim our happiness and peace, by realizing my thoughts, my emotions my choice, my responsibility. So one of the things that we do, which you are alluding to, which makes up meaning, is to change or upgrade the way I see things. That is my vision or my perspective. That's in my hands. You can see the same thing from different angles. For example, even physically. If you're standing on the stage, you see things from a few inches higher. If you walk around in Dubai on stilts, 2 meter high stilts, you see things very differently. So too, how can I upgrade the way I'm seeing life? And so let's explore perspective for a few minutes. If we think of a spectrum of perspective, let's say there's a person in whose life something happens which he or she does not like. Something doesn't go the way he or she wanted. And that person's perspective is very low. And he sees that thing and he labels it as a problem. If you see something as a problem and you give that space in your mind, it's a problem, what kind of emotions will that generate for you? Negative.
Disappointment. Basically, negative responses.
Yes. You may have some fear, some worry, some stress. You become problem conscious. It's like you make the problem live in your mind. And of course, if you do that, then even physically, your eating disorders and sleeping problems and all of that. Because I am choosing, passively, I am choosing to see that situation as a problem. I can say to myself, okay, mind, let's not see this as a problem. Let's raise the perspective here. I choose to see this as an obstacle, not as a problem. What's the difference between seeing something as an obstacle and seeing something as a problem?
You take it as an obstacle, you may try to find a solution to it and may try to improve upon that situation or that event. If you just take it as a other way around, you may just sit with that thought that this is how it is going to be and just live with that negative emotion rather than trying to find a solution for it.
Right. When you see as a problem, you focus on the thing or the person. When you see it as an obstacle, you focus on you. You ask, how can I get over this? How can I find a way around this? The whole focus is different. Your whole relationship with the person or the situation is different. And therefore your feelings are different. Your emotions are different. You won't have fear, worry, panic, have confidence, you get inquisitive, you start thinking constructively. Your whole world changes when you change your perspective. Now, situations, problems, obstacles come in all wonderful shapes and sizes. One of the forms in which obstacles come is in the form of people. Yes. Do you have at least one difficult person in your life? For sure. Yeah. Is that person in this room? Is that person sitting next to you, maybe? No need to answer that question. But usually for us, there's one person, we may not admit it, but this person really pushes my buttons. Like is a world expert in irritating me. This person has a PhD in making my life difficult. So what to do? If someone pushes your buttons, how to change that situation? How to stop someone pushing your buttons?
Why ignore it?
Okay.
And just kind instead of being defensive,
be kind with them.
Change your interpretation as to what the person means to you. When you think that everything what the person is saying is negative, you tend to have that anger and irritation. If you think about changing your perspective about looking the way the person deals with you, maybe that helps you to overcome things in a more positive way from that.
Yeah, that's right. In other words, the focus is on you changing rather than the person changing. Usually what happens is we say, don't talk to me like that. I don't like it when you talk to me in that tone. Or I don't like it when you this. It irritates me. So we request somebody else to change so I can be more happy. Okay, that person may change. The second one will come. Third one will come. Fourth one will come. The only answer really, and this is what you're alluding to, is I learn to deactivate my buttons. Such that next time somebody presses, there is no response. What would happen if somebody pushes the button and nothing happens? If you go into the lift, for example, push the button, doesn't work, what do? Yeah, first you may push all the buttons and think, what's wrong with this lift? But then lift is giving you a message. Message is, we're not going anywhere. So then you have to come out and take the stairs. So the more I develop my emotional stability, the more I become in charge of my peace and my happiness, it's giving a non-verbal message to the other. Non-verbal. Don't say it. Non-verbal message. That message is, you can no longer upset me. You can no longer make me angry. And this has the effect upon the other person. They change their behavior towards you. And this is one of the principles of spirituality we learn in our meditation center. And that is that do not ask to be respected, but raise your self-respect. And see how respect comes to you automatically. What does it mean, self-respect? It means I respect my peace of mind. I respect my happiness. Non-negotiable. My personal property. No matter what's happening, I'm going to let go of my peace of mind and happiness. If I do that, I'm building my own self-respect. And the behavior of others towards you begins to change. And then, changing, as you mentioned, changing the way you see that person. If we think, for example, that life is a school, life is a school, then who are we? Students. If life is a school, we are students. Who are the teachers? Situations, and especially those difficult people. Difficult people in your life, consider them to be teachers in disguise. If they are the teachers, what is the teaching? What is the subject that we are here to learn and to study?
Patience.
Patience, yes.
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Love.
Exactly these things, basically the virtues. And the more I imbibe virtue into my character, the more easily you pass through the game of life, especially the game of relationships. So one thing you can do, when you're finding you may be grinding your teeth with a difficult person, in your mind, just take a pen, a felt tip pen, a magic marker, just like writing on that person's forehead, my teacher. At that moment, in the heat of the moment, my teacher. And you have different kinds of teachers. This one is my ego crusher teacher. Here, she is my tolerance trainer. This one is my patience teacher. Just in your mind, just reimagine and give new perspective to the person. So then you don't pay attention to what you don't like about the person, but you pay attention to what you have to learn at that moment. When the mind is focused on what I can learn and how I can grow, the emotions change. And you stop getting upset, you stop getting into ego fights. That person will also wonder, hey, how come I keep bothering you? How come you don't argue with me anymore? How come you don't get upset anymore? It's like you have chosen to upgrade yourself, which inspires the other person also to upgrade themselves. But a challenge will come. Because another principle in life is change is always challenged. Any kind of positive change you try to make, life will challenge you and ask you, are you serious about this? Will you stop at the first hurdle? So people initially will try even more to irritate you. That's that natural reaction, but you have to pass through that. Then their opposition changes into actually appreciation. So I'd like to suggest, think more about this. Just remind yourself that no matter what's happening, whether it's a little thing you don't like or maybe something big, I can choose the meaning I wish to give to it. And let me give such meaning that I am growing, I'm learning, I'm evolving. The more I develop this virtue in myself, patience, tolerance, understanding, etc., the more easy life becomes. You realize everything is in the mind. It really is a game of the mind. Okay, so I stop there. Should we? Meditation, yeah. Let's do a meditation. So I'd invite you to have your back straight if you can.